All right, welcome back. We are talking with John Hankins, a financial therapist, about the mental health challenges that come before and after retirement. In this video, we'll be talking about some of the advice he has for people post-retirement. So, John, tell us a little bit about some of the things that are facing already retired Americans.
Hi, Josh. Thanks again for inviting me to participate here. In thinking about post-retirement, certainly, as we were talking about in the previous video, on the financial side, you're now moved from your plan where you were contributing into your retirement account. That's ended. You're no longer contributing, and now you're withdrawing. You're taking money out of your account. So understanding how that's going to work, and again, having a plan, and I'll use the same term, you manage what you measure. Tracking all of that is really key. The lifespan that we can expect now can, it's pretty lengthy,
Yeah.
30 years as a round number. So understanding what that looks like, and I think that it should really be informed by your vision of your retirement. I was talking in one of the videos about the guy I knew who was into fishing. He was into it big time. I
Yeah.
mean, he was putting a lot of money into fishing trips to very cool spots around the world. So I think that your retirement vision needs to be consistent with your financial vision. That it is just a fact that a lot of people are not going to enjoy the same level of income when they're retired as when they were working. We just know that's true.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that you can't have a very happy and satisfying retirement. It just means that you need to think very carefully. And again, part of your new job is working on what is really going to satisfy me within the context of my resources. If you're going to sit back and say, oh, I only can be satisfied if I can take a cruise around the world. If I don't have a cruise around the world, my life has been a waste. And there's no way, you're never going to afford that cruise around the world. That is something that needs to be worked on. That is a place where you need to get some support and some help to recast that vision. For me, and I think this is true of a lot of retirees, there's things you can do for free. I have grandchildren. I love being with my grandchildren. I don't need to spend a lot of money, or really, much more than buying an ice cream cone.
Yeah.
That's a very low cost, high pleasure activity. The other is volunteer work. I do a lot of volunteer work. I know a lot of retirees do volunteer work. I think that becomes even more meaningful when you can apply your skills that you've built in your profession over the last 30 years. Again, true story. I think back a couple of videos ago, I was talking about this consulting company that I started, and I was doing all of this technology work, which I really, really enjoy. And it just wasn't going to happen for a bunch of reasons that I felt perfectly okay about. But what I didn't feel okay about was that I had this stuff that I liked to do that was an expensive skill set, and I was happy to do it for free. I got a lot out of it, but I couldn't find a way to connect myself with organizations where I could really put that to use.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, I connected with this organization called Catch a Fire. They're a great organization, but I'm not here advertising for them. But
Right.
what they what they allowed me to do was to connect my business skills with nonprofits that needed people that could help them build budgets, that they could look at financial plans, that could give them, business advice. And that I was just, tremendously satisfied by. So I think that recognizing the piece of, what on me, what's really going to be satisfying for me, and pursuing that, I think, is kind of a key piece to uncover in the whole post-retirement scheme.
Yeah.
But again, it has to mesh with your financial circumstances. That, I think, is key. And I'm really convinced that it is possible to be happy without a lot of money.
It's interesting that you bring that up, because in working with retirees so much, and it could just be because I'm a financial planner, so many retirees are so focused on the money that they forget about the joy. And I like that you're saying that it has to have that balance. Really, the money's there to do nothing but facilitate your joy in retirement. And without understanding both of those components, you're not going to be able to really have a plan to enjoy your retirement with the money that you have in a sustainable way. If you don't mind, I'm going to throw another curveball at you. Looking at people, you would use the example of, a cruise ship, and really wanting to have that. Your life doesn't have meaning if you aren't able to take that worldwide cruise that you've been dreaming about since you were a teenager. What do you recommend for people who maybe don't have the money to live the type of retirement that they earned, that they feel like they should have? How would you recommend that somebody deal with maybe the shame or the disappointment or the regret that comes with not being able to have the retirement that they had maybe spent their life envisioning?
I think that's essentially a two-part problem.
Okay.
I think one part is to recognize that, and to get in touch with that piece, and to get support for working on that piece. It breaks my heart when you describe that, because I know there's so many people out there that feel that way, of like, oh, okay, I worked hard, I didn't save enough, and so here I am, and things are really a drag. After people have had they've worked hard, they've had a career, they've contributed. So I think that's one piece, is getting help with that. That's a burden that is an unnecessary burden.
Yeah.
And then the second piece is kind of back to what I was talking about before, is to look realistically at your financial circumstances and build a lifestyle and a set of activities that do give you satisfaction, that bring you joy, that fit within the context of those financial circumstances.
Yeah. And a lot of the experiences that I've had with this, certainly owning your retirement and owning where that is can be difficult, because sometimes it's not quite where you want it to be. But owning it is that really important piece, because it allows you to focus on the workaround as opposed to focusing on the lack of the retirement that you wanted. So I think that's wonderful advice for people, and thank you. We'll go ahead and call it here. In the next video, we will be talking about investments and the mental health burden that comes along with those. John, thank you again, and we'll both see you in the next video.
Okay, thanks, Josh.